moving on, another team that needs to take a step back in the right direction is the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Their 2020-21 season, they were 11-15, 7-11 in the ACC. That was good enough for 11th. They were 8th in the ACC in scoring, 14th in the ACC in points allowed per game. They defeated Wake Forest 80-77 in the first round of the ACC tournament before getting absolutely throttled by North Carolina in the second round, 101-59. This season, their key returnees, they've got a lot of good players coming back. They've got Prentice Hub. Yeah, he led the team with 15 points per game. You have Nate Lazuski back. He averaged 13.7 rebounds per game. He is their leading rebounder. And they get back Trey Wirtz, 43% from the three-point line. So from around the arc, he's really good. Second among returnees behind Lazuski as far as three-point shooting goes. Notable matchups this season. In the non-conference, they go to number 11 Illinois. They also play at home against number 10 Kentucky. In their conference, obviously, ACC is pretty tough. Number 9 Duke, number 19 North Carolina, number 25 Virginia, and at number 20 Florida State. So hot or cold is the question for Notre Dame is, will they finish above 500 in the ACC for the first time since 2016-2017? I mean, this is, it's kind of crazy to think it's been that long since Notre Dame's really been that competitive. In that stretch, the only time they were not didn't have a losing record in the ACC was a year they went 10-10. There was one year they went 3-15, which was really weird. This Notre Dame team, which it wasn't that too long ago, they were good. Maybe they're still reeling after the loss to Ball State. We'll never know. But I mean, it's crazy to think about Notre Dame not being one of the better teams at least in the state. But the question is, will Notre Dame finish above 500 in the ACC? I think it's a hot take. Notre Dame returns a lot of talent. They also add Yale transfer Paul Atkinson. He averages 18 points a game. He's got 7 rebounds last season. So, I mean, they add another talented player. I mean, of course, we talk about it all the time in basketball. You add, another good piece to that puzzle. It's not like football, not like baseball, where you want to add pieces, but there's, those pieces are kind of drown out in the rest of the makeup of the team. Whereas you add one guy in basketball who is a difference maker. I mean, he can really turn the tides for you. They do have they do have to contend with Duke and North Carolina being better this season and back to their form. But the ACC also as a whole isn't as tough as years past. They're not necessarily as deep as we usually are talking about them. And so Notre Dame's schedule is a little bit more favorable. And just kind of like IU, I think they'll finish in the middle of the pack in the ACC. That should put them around 500 in the conference. And I think the Irish are talented enough to get there. I mean, I think they can be around 500. And so I'll just bank on them being better than 500, which I don't think is too hard of an ask to think that they might be there. And who knows? Maybe they can. I don't think they're a tournament team or anything, but maybe they can. If they can get a couple. Hey, you know what? If things click and they beat like Kentucky or they beat Illinois, I mean, maybe that's something that can be on the resume. I don't think they will necessarily, but I think Notre Dame will have a maybe not as what we're used to seeing is from Notre Dame as far as a good season, but I think they'll have a good back on track season where they kind of get back to what we're used to seeing them.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a hot take as well. I feel like Notre Dame does have what it takes to pull a few upsets. I think they may be able to beat IU in the Crossroads Classic. I don't know. I will say the addition of Paul Atkinson, don't sleep on that addition whatsoever. For somebody to average 18 points and 7 rebounds a game, I don't care what league they played in. I don't care at all. That is not an easy thing to do, to average close to 20 points and 10 rebounds. Not easy. Now, can that transition from the Ivy League over to the ACC? Possibly. To be honest, I think it could. I mean,
I was like, the Ivy League is one of the, not maybe one of the better leagues, but they're at the top. They have some good teams.
Oh yeah. They definitely do. They're one of those leagues that you don't want to have to face one of their teams in the first round. Well, really, their only team. They only need to get one team in because they are a small league, very small.
Right.
But yeah, I think Notre Dame can do it, and if they don't, that could also be just as good for them as well. To be honest, for Notre Dame, I really believe for them to see success in the future, I hate to say it, but I feel like they need to break up with Mike Bray.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's been a rough few
It may
years.
be time to get a different voice in there because it feels like that voice has just gotten stagnant. And I remember it used to be like Notre Dame was tough to recruit against in basketball too, because people wanted to go there. And this was a team that was killing it for years in the Big East. And I mean, those days with Luke Herringody, felt like he was there forever. But ever since then, it's just kind of
They've had a couple good years in the ACC too. They have, I mean, hell, it's not that long ago they were in the like they were playing Kentucky for a spot in like the Elite Eight or whatever it was. But
that's true. Yeah, that is true. But I just kind of feel like recently Mike Bray just, I don't know if it's because of all the weirdness of like the COVID years and all that. Maybe we need to see them in a full legitimate year. I really don't know. It's just something has seemed off with this team for a couple seasons now. Hopefully they can get back into form. If they do, that's great. Awesome. If not, I feel like Mike Bray's seat is hot this year.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't think that's I don't think that's a hot take at all. I think because like we talked about, I mean, it has been a while. I think it's been long enough. Like it's not like an IU thing where like, oh hey, he didn't win in his first year, so is he on the hot seat? Like no, it's not one of those things. Like it is. I mean, heck, 2016.
We've seen a drastic downturn.
Right, 2016-17. Like I said, is the last time they were above 500 in your conference. I mean, that's not
a long time.
That's not a short period of time. Where like, well, you need to, you had one bad year. Like, no, it's been a few now, including like 1 year that you were like 3-15 in the conference. So I mean,
this is an athletic department that prides itself on winning and being having winning traditions.
Right. So I wouldn't be shocked about that at all. So I mean, I think that's on the right track. So yeah, I think Notre Dame's going to have kind of like IU. It's not going to be maybe up to what the standards we're used to seeing them, but it's going to be a solid okay year. Like it's going to be one where you're not gonna they're gonna match up against the team in their respective conference tournaments, and maybe you're not gonna completely be like, well, this is a loss. We don't even need to watch this. I think it's going to be an okay year for both those teams.
Unfortunately, I think we're looking at the state of Indiana truly only getting one team into the tournament.